Join us as we explore the invisible energy system running just beneath your skin.
Mapping the vital streams that bridge our physical bodies with the deeper planes of life.
I'm Elliot.
And I'm Nadia.
Welcome to the Etheric Double by Arthur E. Powell.
I have a friend, and I won't say her name because she'll know, but when someone she loves is hurting, she feels it in her body. Not, "I'm so sorry," feels it, actually feels it. Her sister had a frozen shoulder last year, and my friend's shoulder ached for a month. And she's a little embarrassed by it, like it's a quirk, something misfiring.
And what would you say to her after this chapter?
I'd say, you're not misfiring. There's a wheel over your heart with 12 spokes, and yours happens to be awake. That's this episode. Last time we did the bottom of the ladder, the intake and the lower centers, the machinery of staying alive. Today we climb. Heart, throat, brow, crown. And what's lovely about the climb is that every rung is a capacity you already know from daily life. Feeling what someone else feels. The voice that carries. The knowing before the seeing. Staying yourself all the way through.
And then 2 more chapters to finish the anatomy. The body's exhaust system, which sounds unglamorous and is quietly one of the best bits in the book. And then chapter 12, where Powell does the thing every good engineer does at the end. He draws the whole machine on one page, sun at the top, skin at the bottom, everything we built over 3 episodes in a single picture. That's where we're headed today, the wide view.
So take us up a rung. The heart.
The heart center, 4th of the 7, 12 spokes, so a 12-petaled flower. And in color, it's a glowing golden. And remember the rule from last time. Every center matches its supply line. This one receives the yellow ray from the spleen. And the yellow does 3 jobs. First, locally, when the current is full and strong, it makes the action of the heart itself strong and regular. It steadies the actual organ.
Job 1, keep the drum in time.
Right. Second job, and I like this one, the yellow ray doesn't stay at the heart. Flowing round the center, it soaks into the blood. And the blood carries it everywhere. So this golden vitality is being delivered to the whole body through the circulation, riding along with the oxygen.
The heart as a tea infuser. The blood steeps in it and carries the flavor round.
That's going to be the image now, isn't it? And the third job, some of that yellow travels up to the brain, and it heads especially for the middle of the crown center, the 12-petaled flower at the very center of the top of the head, which we'll meet properly in a few minutes. And in the brain, the yellow ray confers something specific, the power of high philosophical and metaphysical thought.
Wait, the heart feeds the deep thinking? Not the head?
The heart feeds the deep thinking. The big, high, what does it all mean kind of thought runs on heart yellow, which the tradition would say is not a coincidence. The deepest philosophy has never been a purely clever thing. It comes from somewhere warmer.
Every culture already says that, doesn't it? Think with your heart. Take it to heart. We've been saying the wiring out loud the whole time. Okay, and the faculty. This is my friend.
This is your friend. On the astral side, an awakened heart center gives the power to comprehend and sympathize with the feelings of other astral beings, to instinctively understand what they're feeling. And when the etheric center wakes too, that understanding comes through into the physical. The person becomes aware, bodily aware, of the joys and sorrows of the people around them. And the book says sometimes even to the point of reproducing others' physical aches and pains in themselves by sympathy.
So her aching shoulder is the etheric heart center doing precisely what it's built to do. Understanding. That's the word the book's chart uses for this center, actually. Understanding, running deep enough that it turns up in the muscles. Which reframes a whole kind of person, right? The ones who can't watch someone be embarrassed on television, who wince when you describe your injury. Not oversensitive, just that wheel is turning.
Turning well. Okay, 5th rung, the throat.
And this one is described so beautifully, I made you promise to read the phrase properly.
It's a good phrase. The throat center has 16 spokes, 16 petals, and it shows a good deal of blue, but the overall effect is silvery and gleaming, and the book says, like moonlight on rippling water, which, for a center that's all about sound and voice, is exactly right somehow. Silver, rippling, shimmering.
The one wheel described like a sound.
And its supply is the violet blue stream, the one we watched lead the spleen last episode. When it arrives here, it divides. The light blue stays and courses through the throat center and vivifies the whole region. And there's a really concrete claim attached. The strength and elasticity in the vocal cords of a great singer or a great speaker goes along with special brilliance and activity of this light blue ray. The voice that fills a hall is a bright throat wheel.
Somewhere out there, a voice coach just sat up.
And the darker blue and the violet don't stay. They pass on up into the brain and they split the work. The dark blue spends itself in the lower and central parts of the brain. The violet floods the upper part and gives special vigor to the crown center, spreading itself through those hundreds of outer petals. And here's the division of labor in one line. Ordinary thought runs on the blue ray, mixed with a portion of the yellow from the heart. Thought and emotion of a high spiritual type run largely on the violet.
So even the grades of thinking have their own colors. The everyday planning mind is blue and gold. The praying mind is violet.
That's the scheme. And the faculty of this center, predictably enough for the throat, is hearing. On the astral side, an awakened throat center gives hearing on the astral plane. And when the etheric center is aroused, the person starts in ordinary waking consciousness to hear. Voices sometimes, which the book notes make all kinds of suggestions to them. Sometimes music. Sometimes, it says plainly, less pleasant sounds.
It's very matter of fact about that, which I appreciated. Because hearing things is about the most pathologized experience a person can report. And the book just files it. Early, uneven working of the throat wheel. Some of what comes through is lovely, some isn't. And when the center is fully working, it settles into proper clairaudience. Clear hearing on the etheric and astral levels, which is a word people know from 100 psychic shop fronts, and here it is as an anatomy entry.
Sixth rung, the brow, the center between the eyebrows, and this one's structure is a jump, 96 spokes. The lower centers are 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, and suddenly here, 96.
The resolution goes up as you climb. And here's a lovely reconciling detail, because anyone who knows the Indian books will say, wait, Ajna has 2 petals. Everybody knows the 2-petaled lotus. And Powell explains the difference rather than arguing with it. The wheel looks divided into 2 halves. One half is predominantly rose-colored with a lot of yellow through it, and the other half is a kind of purplish blue. So drawn simply, it reads as 2 great petals. Drawn finely, it's 96 spokes. 2 ways of drawing the same flower.
Both accurate, different resolutions. And its faculty is the famous one, sight. On the astral side, its awakening means you stop vaguely sensing the presence of astral things and begin to perceive them definitely, their nature and their shape. And on the etheric side, it brings seeing. In the early stages, half-seeing. The book describes landscapes half-perceived, clouds of color drifting through. And when it's fully developed, clairvoyance, clear seeing.
And those early stages are so recognizable to so many people. The color behind the eyelids in meditation, the half-second landscape between waking and sleep. The book would say, that's the 96-spoked wheel just beginning to turn properly. Not imagination, not yet sight. The in-between.
And there's one faculty attached to this center that we are deliberately saving, magnification, the ability to see something tiny as though enlarged. It's flagged here in Chapter 9, and it gets its full, strange, wonderful treatment later in the book. So we're parking it until the seeing episode near the end of the series. Consider that a promise.
A snake on a pharaoh's forehead is involved. That's all we're saying. Okay, the top of the ladder.
The crown, the center at the top of the head, and the book says straight away that it's built differently from all the others. It's the one the Indian books call the 1,000-petaled lotus, and the real count is close, 960 radiations of the primary force. And then, unlike any other center, it has a second structure nested inside, a smaller whirlpool in its central portion, with 12 undulations of its own, a wheel within the wheel.
And the 12 in the middle? That's where the heart's yellow was headed.
Exactly. The center receives the violet ray from the throat in its great outer rim, all 960 petals of it, and the yellow from the heart in that 12-fold core, heart at the center of the crown. And when this center is fully alive, the book stops being technical for a sentence and just admires it. The most resplendent of all, full of indescribable chromatic effects, vibrating with almost inconceivable rapidity, the central portion gleaming white, flushed with gold at its heart.
White and gold and violet, spinning at the top of a person. And every depiction of every saint in every tradition has been showing us this. The halo, the crown, the flame at the top. We drew it for centuries without being told what we were drawing.
And its gift, when the etheric center is awake, is the one I find most staggering of the whole seven, described in the driest possible language. It enables a man to leave the body in full consciousness and to re-enter it without the usual break, so that, quote, his consciousness will be continuous through night and day.
Continuity. No blackout. Because think about what sleep actually is for all of us. Every night there's a gap. You lie down, and then it's morning, and whoever you were in between is mostly lost. Letters undelivered, like we said. And this center, awake, closes the gap. You'd go to sleep and remain you, all the way through, and come back with everything. Your life would stop having those nightly seams in it.
One continuous person, and two small anatomical notes before we leave the top of the head, because they're the kind of detail I love. The book says these two highest centers, the brow and the crown, work through two little organs in the brain. In one type of person, both converge on the pituitary body, which in that type is practically the one direct link between the physical and the higher planes. In another type, the brow stays with the pituitary, but the crown center bends over, slants, until it lines up with the pineal gland, and that becomes a direct line of communication to the mental level, which is why some schools make so much of developing the pineal gland. It's a type difference, not a rule.
And the other note is the tonsure, and I get to do this one. You know the old monk's haircut? The shaved circle at the crown that looks so odd in the paintings? The book says the real reason for it was to leave the crown center uncovered. Nothing between that wheel and heaven, not even hair, for the force the candidates were trying to rouse in their meditations. Centuries of a haircut carrying a diagram nobody remembered.
Documentation again, hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so that's the ladder climbed, all 7 wheels turning. And now the part of the machine nobody puts in the brochure.
The exhaust. Chapter 11, discharges. And the logic is stated in the first sentence. The dense body takes in food, uses it, and discharges its waste through the excretory organs, all 5 of them, the skin, the lungs, the liver, the intestines, the kidneys. The etheric body does exactly the same thing. It takes in material from food and from the vitality globules, it uses it up, and then it has to get the spent particles out. Nothing in this system is static. Everything is flow-through.
So where does it all go? Because we've been pouring colored streams into this body for 2 episodes.
And now we drain them. And there's a chart for this too, with little arrows. It's very tidy. 3 exits, and they're sorted by height, which I find very satisfying.
Exit 1, the breath and the pores of the skin. Out that way go the bluish-white particles that have had all their prana drawn off, plus any surplus rose-charged ones the body didn't need, and the spent blue atoms from the throat's work. Which means the glow around a person, the health aura from last episode, is partly the body breathing out its used light. Okay, exit 2.
The ordinary excretory organs. Out that way go the emptied green ray atoms, sensibly enough, since the green served the digestion. And, in the ordinary person, the spent red-orange from the base of the spine goes that way too. But, And here's the little door back to last episode. In the developed person, the one who's deflected the red-orange ray upward, those particles don't leave through the lower body at all. They discharge through the top of the head.
And this is the image I've been waiting to give people. Say it the way the book does.
They form a fiery cascade, streaming out of the crown of the head. And the book adds, this is frequently shown as a flame in the ancient statues of the Buddha and the saints.
So that flame on the Buddha's head, the one you've seen on 1,000 statues and assumed was a stylized decoration, an artistic flourish. The book says it's documentation. A person who has turned the whole downward current upward, burning off the top of the head like a crown of fire. Someone saw that and carved it.
And exit 3, for completeness, the dark blue and violet atoms from the highest work discharge through the top of the head as well. So even the exhaust has a hierarchy. The used light of digestion leaves low, the used light of the spirit leaves high.
And there's one more strand in this chapter, and it's the one that changed how I look at my own hands. So I'm taking it. It's not just spent prana leaving you. The matter of the etheric double itself is constantly being thrown off through the pores, the way gas escapes. Which means everyone near you is absorbing little bits of your etheric matter all day, and you're absorbing theirs. We literally swap substance by standing near each other.
Which will matter a great deal in some later chapters.
Oh, it will. And the radiation is strongest, of all places, from the ends of the fingers and the toes. Which is why the book gets suddenly very firm about something very homely. Clean fingernails. A person with dirt under their nails, it says, is pouring a stream of unhealthy influence into the etheric world, continuously, from the exact point where their output is strongest. My grandmother strikes again, by the way. Wash your hands, trim your nails. She was doing etheric hygiene the whole time.
And to a clairvoyant, apparently, all these emanations have shapes. The fine physical particles leaving the body, a lot of them are crystalline, so they appear as tiny geometric forms. Dice, stars, little double pyramids. Ordinary salt leaves as tiny cubes. There's this constant faint gray mist of geometry coming off everybody.
Snowing tiny shapes. All of us. All the time.
And the shapes change with your state. Health changes them. A wave of emotion changes them. Even a definite train of thought changes them. The book cites a Professor Gates who reported that the material emanations of the living body differ with the state of the mind, that you could test them chemically with selenium salts, different tints for different mental states, and that he'd already cataloged 40 different, his phrase, emotion products.
40 flavors of mood precipitating out of the skin. Even your chemistry is telling on you.
Which brings us to Chapter 12. And Chapter 12 is not really a chapter, it's a drawing. Powell stops, gathers everything from the last 10 chapters, and lays it out once, whole. There's a big tabulation, every center with its spokes and colors and functions in columns. But the one defined is the full-page figure, the outline of a human body, in profile, with the entire system drawn on it. If you only ever look at one page of this book, it's this one.
Describe it like you're holding it up for us.
Okay, so there's the figure of a man, side on, just an outline, transparent. And on him, all 7 wheels, actually drawn, each with its spoke count written under it. The little 4-spoked cross at the base of the spine, the 10-pedaled wheel at the navel, the spleen wheel, and around it, floating in the air in front of the body, a scatter of little circles, the vitality globules, queuing to be drawn in. Then the 12 at the heart, the 16 at the throat, the dense 96 at the brow like a woven rosette, and the great many-rayed disc at the crown, drawn like a whole sun. And running between them, the piping, the colored streams, labeled, green peeling off to the navel, yellow to the heart, blue and violet climbing to the throat and up over the brain, red and orange running down to the base of the spine, and the rose stream fanning out from the spleen along every nerve of the body like the veins of a leaf.
And down the side of the page, the labels. That's my favorite part. Because next to each wheel, in the margin, the chart just writes what it gives you, in single words. Feeling at the navel. Traveling at the spleen. Understanding at the heart. Clairaudience. clairvoyance. And at the very top, continuity of consciousness. It reads like a map of a person's possibilities, pinned to the body like stations on a train line.
And follow it once through top to bottom, because this is 3 episodes in one breath. The sun pours out vitality. A globule forms in the sunlit air, drifts, and is drawn into the spleen wheel, split into 7, flung out in 5 colored streams: green to the belly, yellow to the heart and the blood, blue and violet to the throat and the brain, red and orange down to the furnace, rose along every nerve you have.
And each wheel drinks its color and does its work, keeping the drum in time, carrying the voice, opening the inner eye, holding you continuous through the night. The charge gets spent, and the spent light leaves. Through the breath, through the pores, as that combed, bristling, defensive glow. Through the body's ordinary exits, and in the saints as a cascade of fire from the crown. Tap at the sun, drain at the skin. One system, one picture.
That's the click. That's the page I'd frame.
And when you see it whole like that, the thing that actually moves me is how ordinary its outputs are. This whole shimmering apparatus, wheels of pearl light, rivers of color. And what does it produce? A steady heartbeat. A voice that can fill a room. A gut that knows. A person who feels her sister's shoulder. It's a cathedral of machinery, and what it makes is a Tuesday. Your completely ordinary day is the finished product of all of this.
The anatomy arc is done. 3 episodes, and you now know the etheric body the way Powell lays it out. What it is, what feeds it, every wheel, and the whole cycle, intake to exhaust. And worth saying, this whole map is only the innermost layer. The astral body is the next one out. Powell wrote a book on that too, and Pillar 5 keeps working outward, but one body at a time.
Which means we can finally open the door we've walked past twice now. Because sleeping down there in that 4-spoked wheel at the base of the spine, the book has left something coiled. Next episode is Kundalini, the serpent fire, liquid fire the book calls it, the most powerful force in the whole system, and the one it treats with the most respect. Real warnings, the kind you give a friend about something that isn't a game. And paired with it, the thing that protects us until we're ready. A woven safety net, finer than anything. The atomic web. The fire and the firewall.
It's the most serious episode of the series, and honestly, one of the best. And while you wait for it, if this show is doing something for you, it's part of a growing family of shows over at Pillar 5 Media.
Different hosts, different books, all of us taking something deep and making it feel more like a conversation with a friend. There's a sibling show in the same tradition, At the Feet of the Master, if you want more for the road.
You'll find all of it at pillar5media.com. That's pillar, then the number 5 as a numeral, media.com.
Thanks for climbing the ladder with us today. Notice your wheels this week. All 7 of them are turning right now, just for you.
Quietly, dutifully, whether you ever think of them or not. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you at the fire.